This short article, found in World History 3967, is about how to handle the often contentious subject of Israel in terms of modern politics, in the context of a school that has people from many different churches and obviously many different perspectives. And the aim is basically to lay out the ground rules that when it comes to the actions of the State of Israel, it is to recognize that the State of Israel is itself, like all the other nations of the world, in rebellion to God. And therefore its actions will be subject to the same issues that may be going on in other nations. Righteousness will not necessarily be the dominant feature. And therefore to recognize that there are in fact grievances on both sides, on the Palestinian side and also on the Israeli side, and to try and encourage a level of empathy and to, as I say, dial down the rhetoric. However, there is in fact something that is something that all Christians should hold to, which is the interpretation of prophecy. As Peter says, prophecy is not for private interpretation, it's something that the church should have an agreed position on. And when it comes to Israel, the early church and the reformers had an agreed position that God would restore Israel to its rightful homeland prior to the second coming. And indeed, Oliver Cromwell wanted the Jews back into England because he knew that the evangelization and conversion of the Jews was a requirement of the second coming. And Lord Shaftesbury in the 19th century tried to get Palmerston, his friend, to put pressure on the Turkish state to try and create a nation of Israel for the fulfillment, as it were, of prophecy. And in some ways, the Balfour Declaration of 1917 can be seen in the context of evangelicals in the cabinet, understanding that there in fact was a place for Israel in God's economy and the end times. And so we can rejoice together in seeing the fulfillment of God's prophetic word, which was consistently the case throughout the Old Testament prophets, who always spoke of a final restoration of Israel. And we're seeing that in our day. And I think this is actually a sign from God that we should be ready for the second coming. And really since 1948, when this has been established by UN vote, there should have been a general wake-up call to the church to prepare the world for the second coming and for people to get right with God before it's too late. Well, thank you for listening.